The brand new Genshin 4.1 banners have been revealed, and they are some of the strongest banners I have ever seen them put out. But you just have to remember, the Archon is coming next patch. So if you don't have the savings for her and you're really interested in a really powerful character, it is almost certain that the Archon will be extremely good. But as long as you do have the funds, let's talk about how good these banners are and why they might even be worth it, even if you don't. Welcome to Genshin Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Starting with the character banners with the 5 stars Neuvillette and Hu Tao. I've made an extensive guide on Hu Tao, and I've made a pre-release guide on Neuvillette, and I will be having a day 1 guide most likely tomorrow from whatever you're watching this, and I'll be outlining exactly how good he is, at least from the testing that I'll be able to do. First of all, I want to say that I expect Neuvillette to be an extremely strong character. I think that if you love him, you are very justified in going for him. He does actually have a wide number of teams. At the very worst, he can work great in a Hyper Bloom team, but it's very possible that his Hyper Carry teams and mixed other teams are extremely good as well. So I think no matter who you are, you're going to be able to make him work. Although he does highly benefit from his weapon, from constellations, he does have free-to-play options that are going to be good enough. So if you love him, you can't go wrong. And not only that, the 4 stars are incredible. But just finishing up with the 5 stars, Hu Tao, another incredible character. You really can't go wrong. Basically the ceiling for single target damage, especially if you're willing to invest in either her C1 or her Staff of Homa. Again, if you want a fully in-depth review on Hu Tao, I've been maining C0 Hu Tao without her weapon since I started Genshin Impact 2 years ago. So you can go check out my full Hu Tao guide. I'll link it at the end. But for the 4 stars, man, these are incredible 4 stars. It's the first time that Xingqiu has been on the banner in over 9 months. A really long time for a 4 star to be missing. And because he is arguably the strongest character in the game, this could be a really incredible time for you to pick him up, especially because Neuvillette and Hu Tao are strong characters. Fischl, also an S tier character, one of the best characters in the game, and although it's no secret that Diona isn't my absolute favorite character, I can't deny that she's a very comfortable character for a lot of players, very flexible, and has good utility, especially for early game players when you want that shield, and her EM buffing can be good sometimes. I personally do think she's a little bit overrated, but she's still a strong character, and really, especially considering she's the worst character on this banner, that says something very impressive. The other nice thing that I will let you keep in mind is that both Fischl and Xingqiu do not need constellations to be very good. They are extremely potent even at Constellation 0. So I would urge you to not tempt yourself and not bait yourself into spending so many wishes getting really high constellations for Xingqiu and for Fischl. It's not that they're not good constellations, don't get me wrong. Fischl does get a bunch more damage. Xingqiu gets better hydro application, hydro damage reduction, energy recharge increase. He gets a lot from his constellations. But the fact is, he's an extremely broken S tier character at C0, as is Fischl. And let's just remember that the Archon is also an extremely broken character, so you don't want to spend a whole bunch of and blow everything on these banners if you're still hoping to get the Archon. If I had to rate these banners though, they're one of the strongest. Like if we also look at team synergy, you could just pull on this banner and have an extremely strong entire team. Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Fischl, Diona is a great team. It's a comfy team for free to plays. It's a very high damaging team. I can't believe this is one of the banners in a very long time, one of the few banners in a very long time that you actually just get a full great team from wishing on this banner. I'm actually kind of shocked. And for Neuvillette, it's no slouch either. He can use Diona as a defensive option, and Fischl is almost definitely going to be on most of his best teams, or at least it's going to be one of his strongest options for a team pairing. The only one is Xingqiu. Neuvillette only uses charge attacks, so he actually can't proc Xingqiu's rain sword, so doesn't have too much synergy with Neuvillette. But overall, you know, it's not like you're not going to use Xingqiu on your other side of the abyss, so it's totally fine that he doesn't have perfect synergy. It's an incredible banner overall. So I've talked the praises. Let's talk about the criticisms. Yes, these characters are broken, but again, pity count is a precious thing. If you don't want the 5 stars on the banner, I highly encourage you to save. You could, and this is probably what I would do, is if you're on your 50-50, if you're at 0 pity, and you don't have a Xingqiu, and you don't have a Fischl, and again, this is just what I would do, this is what I've always done and what I always will do, I would spend maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 wishes trying to get 1 copy of Xingqiu, 1 copy of Fischl. And you may say, building pity is never a good idea. It's a calculated risk. The odds are you're not going to get a 5-star. And even if you do, you might lose the 50-50 and then you won't have been punished. And even if you do, so you spent 30 wishes and got a 5-star. Not the worst thing in the world, as long as you don't creep up too high. If you and also as long as you can spare 30 wishes, as many wishes as you can spare. Like if you've only got, a very limited amount of wishes and you need the absolute best chance to get Farina as possible, because she is coming, you want to be very, very careful with that pity count. It's a dangerous game to play. But what I've always done is wish as many times as would be worth it, that if you did get the 5-star, it would be a win. Like if 10 pulls would be a win for the 5-star, then you can go 10 pulls and trying to get a copy of official or Xingqiu. Now keep in mind the odds of you getting a Xingqiu and official in 30 pulls, not 100%. The pity for 4 stars is every 10 wishes. Usually it'll be every 9. Sometimes you may get an extra one in there, but it's a 50-50 as to whether it's going to be on banner or off banner. So it might take you, and if it's off banner, the next one is guaranteed to be one of these 3, but there's no pity counter for it to be a certain one. So you can wish 60, 70, 80, 100, 200, 300, 600 wishes, never get a copy of Xingqiu. And Xingqiu and official are both on the Star Glitter shop. So if you're willing to save up and go for a more guaranteed approach, then you could get them from the Star Glitter shop. Personally, if you don't have either of these characters, spend 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 wishes. I would not go anywhere past that, especially if you don't at least want the 5-star. But even then, I wouldn't go, if you don't want the 5-star at all, maybe you stop at 20, maybe you even don't do any at all, and you just save for that Star Glitter. And if you don't get them after 10, 20 pulls, if you decided to do that, then you just save up your Star Glitter and get them on the Star Glitter shop. The only problem is that Xingqiu's on the Star Glitter shop right now, and I think official just was. So if you miss them now, it might take you a really long time to get them. So these are all really tricky considerations. And of course, I'm talking to the new player. If you already have at least one copy of either of these, I would not go for constellations. I wouldn't risk it. It's not worth it. It's not worth a character that you don't want. But if you do want the character, if you're a Neuvillette main, which you might be, if you're a Hu Tao main and you just want to get more copies of that character, oh my goodness, this is great. It is one of the best banners you could possibly have wished for. And it does make the decision easier, I think, for those of you who were thinking about, should I go for Hu Tao C1 or should I go for the Staff of Homa? I think this should make the decision pretty easy. If you don't have C6 Xingqiu, you should go for Hu Tao C1 over Staff of Homa, because constellations for Xingqiu, amazing, and official, she's great with Hu Tao as well. Very underrated character. So overall, I absolutely love these banners, but let's also talk about the weapon banner, because it is pretty darn good too. The Mitternat's Waltz is on here. It's probably the weakest of the bunch. Official's weapon is not the best weapon on official. It's not even close. It's not even it's not even better than her free-to-play option, which is going to be the new Fontaine Craftable, the Song of Stillness. So the bow, complete dud. Catalyst, probably one of the better Catalyst. Favonius Codex for a while was struggling to find a home, but now with the likes of Baiju, with Nahida, and with other potential future Catalyst characters that are supports in the future, Favonius is getting better and better. It's not by far the best. I mean, Sac Frags is also really good, Sacrificial Fragments, as is the Widsith, but Favonius Codex, a great option. And Favonius Lance, probably the very best polearm in the game, even above 5 stars. I know that's a crazy take, and maybe you could argue even the Staff of Homa is better, but I think Favonius Lance is absolutely incredible. So if you do decide to wish on this, Favonius Lance, almost every single support character, be it Toma if he's running support, even if he's running Burgeon sometimes, although Katane is probably better, but I digress. Whether it's Shenhe, whether it's Rosaria, whether it's Toma, whether it's Yunjin, whether it's Zhongli, if they're running support, Favonius is going to be one of their best weapons, if not their best. Not always, because sometimes you want them to do more damage, etc., but Favonius is such an incredible polearm. It's really, really great to have more copies of. I personally have 3 refined 5s now, and I don't regret it one bit. Now, you may also be looking at these 2 brand new weapons. They are strange looking, but obviously the question on their mind is, are they any good? In the case of the Claymore, I'm not so sure. It's an HP main stat weapon, and when the wielder is healed, they will gain Stoic Symbols. When they use their elemental skill or burst, they gain some elemental mastery, and you get a little bit of energy. So it's a nice effect. It's a nice effect for a support Claymore who wants HP and wants elemental mastery. And I can't think of any right now. If we look at the support Claymores, do any of them scale of HP? Beidou, no. Chang'e, no. Dea, not really. Like, kind of, but not really. Usually she wants Favonius if she's support, and she wants attack more than she wants HP if she's damage dealer. Dory, not really, needs too much energy. Eula, no, 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 no. So I don't see this weapon having a home right now. It's definitely possible that we'll get an HP scaling Claymore character, but no one's predicted anything yet. So currently this weapon probably won't have a home. It's pretty much a dead slot, but it's probably the only blemish that's a complete blemish anyways, because the Dockhand's assistant sword is a good weapon. And it's, you know, Nilou mains rejoice. It's finally an HP scaling 4-star sword. The problem is these weapons don't get added to the standard banner, so you will have no choice but to pull in this weapon banner if you're trying to get this weapon. And if you're going to be pulling on a weapon banner for your Nilou, then you should just go for the key. Getting copies of a weapon of a 4-star weapon on a weapon banner is very, very difficult to do. The pity system is even worse than the character. We just talked about how difficult it is to get a certain character on the character banner. With a weapon, there's 5 different choices, and you can still get an off rate up weapon. So, and there's absolutely no pity system. So for you to get multiple copies or even 1 copy of this weapon is going to be very, very risky. I would say Nilou mains will only end up, or should only end up, using this weapon if you're really a secret Hu Tao or Neuvillette main. You pull for their weapon and then you end up getting this one, and therefore you don't need as much to go for the key. The thing about the key, though, you do have to remember is that it has a ton of buffing potential. It's not just about the HP main stat. The HP main stat is good, it is very beneficial and nothing else gives it, but it's also the buffing that the key gives, and this just really doesn't buff the same way. Of course, it buffs by having more HP, so your blooms do more damage from your other characters, but it's not the same as the buffing, the amazing elemental mastery buffing of the key. So Nilou mains, don't get baited. Don't wish for this weapon for your Nilou, but if you're trying to go for one of these weapons for one of your other characters and you end up with this, it is going to be her best in slot 4-star. If you want to know exactly how best in slot it is, you should check out this video made by Jamie KB9V. Jamie, you really need to get yourself a profile picture so I can find you easier on my subscriber feed. But Jamie is one of my favorite content creators. He's a fantastic theory crafter, and he goes through the weapon in all its glory and thinks about things that I didn't think about in the way that he compares it. So highly recommend you check him out and you give this video a watch if you're interested exactly how much of an upgrade it is above the key, or above the Iron Sting and below the key. Short answer, it's above the Iron Sting, but significantly lower than the key, closer to the Iron Sting than it is to the key. But check out his video for more. But how about for other characters? Obviously, there's HP scaling sword users, Kirara and Layla. How good are these swords for them? I think most likely they'll probably be the second best in slot, the best in slot 4-star for both of them, at least for shield strength. Both of them do have decent options. The Harbinger of Dawn for Layla, especially if she's C6 on a damage build, her damage is actually pretty good, especially for a shielding character. So if you already have enough shields, which you can easily get from just an HP main stat, especially if you do get to C6, then the weapon, the extra HP scaling is not really necessary. But I think if you're just building shield bot Layla and you're not interested in her damage at all, or maybe just her buffing from tenacity, then I think it's a good choice. But I would absolutely not risk my weapon banner pulls for getting this weapon from the weapon banner, because I think that you can easily achieve enough shielding just through artifacts alone. Similar thing for Kirara, except for Kirara, she has access to the Sapwood Blade, and the Sapwood Blade provides that elemental mastery leaf, which you can get refined 5 for absolutely free. So I really don't think it's best in slot for Kirara at all. I think you're much better off using artifacts to build out that HP and saving your weapon choice for the Sapwood Blade. Although again, if you're just concerned about shield strength, not at all about buffing, then this is going to be her best option. Finally, it's not on the weapon banner. This is going to be a free weapon, but I wanted to throw this in here because otherwise, where else am I going to? This is going to be the event weapon. They're giving this away for free as long as you play the event during the patch. This is a catalyst. We have 2 5-star catalysts, with Risley coming right after Neuvillette, and this is an energy recharge weapon with a high base attack, low energy recharge. Not that low, but not that. Like, it's not the highest it could be. And the passive, within 6 seconds after normal or charge attack hits an opponent, normal attack damage will be increased by 8%. That'll be 16 with R5, which you'll be able to get for free. And charge attack damage increased by 12%, max 3 stacks. So 16 times 3, 48. Pretty large buff. Not bad at all. If your character needs ER, then this is going to be really good. This might be, who would this be good on? Like, Neuvillette might need some energy recharge, but I don't know if he needs 30. I think the calcs have done that Prototype Amber is still better, and I don't think Risley really wants to build too much ER, and neither does Wanderer. So I'm not exactly sure who this will be at home on. I think it'll be decent on all of those characters, maybe even decent on Yai, but she does get a lot of damage from her burst. See, the thing I don't like about this weapon is that it gives ER, which is for your burst, but then it doesn't boost burst damage, so it's better for characters that want to do damage with their normal and charge attacks, but then you're wasting the ER in them because they don't want to use their burst. So it's not my favorite weapon. I'm not a hugest fan. I think it'll be a good free-to-play option, but definitely wait for more theory crafted videos on exactly where it lands before you actually decide to craft it and build it. Now that's the 4 stars. Overall, pretty good selection. If you don't have Nilou, then it's really only a 2 out of 5. If you do have Nilou, it's a 3 out of 5. So not terrible, not incredible, but when we look at the 5-star weapons, it does tend to redeem itself, especially if you're a Neuvillette main. If you're a Neuvillette main, then his catalyst is absolutely bonkers on him. Tomb, I think that's Tomb. Tome? Tume? Not spelled like tomb normally is. Anyways, Tome of the Eternal Flow. Crit damage 88%, an absolutely massive amount, and base attack on the lower side, which is good either for a character that doesn't scale with base attack or for a character that's played with Bennett because it's not as important to have that high base attack. For the passive, HP is increased by 16%. When current HP increases or decreases, charge attack damage will be increased by 14% for 4 seconds, max 3 stacks. This effect can be triggered once every 0.3 seconds. When the character has 3 stacks or a third stack's duration refreshes, 8 energy will be restored. This energy restoration effect can be triggered once every 12 seconds. So if my prediction is correct and Furina does increase and or decrease HP, I expect her to do both. I've seen other people make some predictions that she will. Seems like we're all in agreement in my predictions. I made my prediction a long time ago. I'm sticking to it. But her charge charge attack damage increasing by 14% with 3 stacks, that's a 42% charge attack damage increase. That's really, really high, similar to a Kazuha buff. This is really, really big. If a character can utilize this, it's huge. If you're using this with Wanderer, with Furina, then charge attack spam may well be his best playstyle. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the calcs. I don't know if they exist yet, but I think this is a really much better weapon than people would imagine if Furina actually does do this thing, which I think is very likely, and also if you're actually using it with her. And even if you don't, it should be a good stat stick. I think this is going to be a great weapon. I'm not going to lie. I think it's going to be better than... I know I said it was similar to the Red Horn Storm Thresher. I think it's going to be better, but that is the caveat that you're using it with Furina, or if the character already is being hurt and increasing. But I don't think... Generally, you don't want to be hit, so you don't really want to plan around taking damage and being healed. So if you plan on getting Furina and you're planning on using her in the team of whatever character they're planning on using this on, I think this is a great weapon. Obviously for Neuvillette, but even for Wriothesley, I know he does some stuff with his charge attack. We'll have to wait longer to see the actual testing. And for Wanderer, I do think it's possible that he does work with Furina because he kind of has a flex slot. And Yaimiko, I think it's possible as well, although I'm not quite as sold with her as I am for Wanderer, especially. I'm really thinking about this for my Wanderer and for my Wriothesley, so I'm hoping that it does work out. I think it will, but we kind of have to wait a bit longer for the calcs. And finally, the infamous Staff of Homa, Staff of Homeless. Don't go homeless for the weapon banner. Again, you don't need... I do want to say this. You don't need 5-star weapons to do good in this game. I recently started getting a couple more 5-star weapons just to test out the difference, the power difference between having them and not having them. You do notice it. I will not lie. You do notice a big difference, or at least a noticeable difference between having them and not having them, but they're by no means required. They never have been. I've 36-starred every Abyss that I've been, had enough characters to do so for, with C0 5 stars, C6 4 stars, and 4-star weapons. So they're by no means required. But if you do want to go for one, the Staff of Homa is one of the best polearms in the game. It is fairly universal. It's not as universal as it used to be, but it's still one of the best polearms. Candace, yes. Cyno, yes, but it's not his best. I think I'm not even going to go through them all. Most of them do. Oftentimes, characters will have great other options anyways. Like we have the catch for Shangling and things like that, and Raiden has the catch as well. So since we got the catch, I would say Homa isn't like as ubiquitous as it once was. And we have lots of good 5-star polearms nowadays with Engulfing Lightning for ER focused characters and Staff of the Scarlet Sands for EM focused characters. Both of those are really busted polearms in terms of stats. So you definitely don't need the Staff of Homa. But if you're going for Neuvillette, or if you have Hu Tao and you want to go for it, like it's the Staff of Homa. It has a ridiculous crit damage stat, very similar to the Tomb of Eternal Flow actually. Back when weapon banner passives were much simpler. HP increased by 20%, provides an attack boost based on 8 max HP. And if you're below 50%, you get an additional attack boost. So it provides HP if you're scaling off HP, and then otherwise it provides attack. Doesn't have as high crit damage as the other weapon, but it's still very high, still a very universal, very good weapon. Can't go wrong. If you're going to go for a weapon banner, this is a good one to go for on. Most of the time, you're going to find some use for both of these, especially if you're getting Furina. But I do wish you luck no matter which one you're going for. I think these are great banners. I just want to remind you one more time, Furina is coming in the very next patch. It's so close. Her drip marketing should come out any second now, and she's going to be bonkers good. She's the Hydra Archon. Hydra is the best element. I would not be surprised if she was the best character in the game. So just remember to be careful and good luck. If you want to see more, if you want to see my day 1 Neuvillette review, make sure to subscribe. If you want to see my Hu Tao video, check out the end card. And if you don't want to do any of that, that's totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.